everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Well, it's May the 15th and I'm standing here behind this small nuke, and what it really is my cell builder. It is queenless. It was a hive that was queenless when I turned it into a cell builder for about at least a week. What I did was it's two mediums, and there was no brood in this hive. It was just all bees, and they were really going crazy because they knew they were queenless. I dropped in 5 frames of capped brood, 95% or better, in the bottom medium box. I set the second medium box on. I dropped in a frame of capped brood, one on the left wall and one on the right side wall. I found 2 fresh, really nice frames of pollen out of another hive, and I put those in on either side. And then in the middle between that 2 pollen frames, I went ahead and put my grafting frame in. So today is day 6. I grafted this past Saturday afternoon. These cells should be capped. I grafted 30 cell cups. We are going to have a big reveal here of how many of these cells took and how well I grafted. On top here is another medium white box, and it's basically sitting on top of the inner cover where I have a quart jar of sugar water. I used some Pro Sweet, and that is all I did. So we're going to go ahead, get into this hive. Also, to prep this hive, I learned down at the Shenandoah Bee Supply, where I took the queen rooming class here about a month ago, that you need a tremendous amount of nurse bees. So I put all those capped brood frames in here. They will hatch out as fresh nurse bees. They had already had a lot of bees in here that was covering all the frames and even on the tops of the frames. Then I went down the line here where I have my really big high Demery hives, and I harvested approximately 2, maybe 3 pounds of nurse bees from the top of those hives where the brood is kept, from the bottom box where I had rotated it up to the top box. Shook those nurse bees off into a Pro Nuke. They stayed right in there. If they were a forager, they would fly off. Then I dumped those 2 to 3 pounds of bees into these 2 medium nuke boxes here where that grafting frame was. So we're going to see how well they have done. The bees have been hanging out on the front of this hive for probably the last 4 to 5 days. Even while it was raining here for the last couple of days, they were still hanging out. So that tells me there's a tremendous amount of bees in here. I'm sure the right amount of bees to get these cells drawn out and hopefully have a good, successful count of queen cells. So let's go ahead and get into the hive. I'm going to bring you on up closer. I want you to see the amount of bees so you can understand, if you want to try this in your backyard where you only need a small nuke box and you want to graft, let's just say 15 cells. This is the procedure. This is something that I have had struggled with, in the fact that I did not understand that the amount of nurse bees that you've got to have in these hives in order for to be successful, to have your grafts accepted by the bees, as long as you didn't mess up when it came to grafting. So let me go ahead and bring you on up. All right, I've got you brought up for a bird's eye view. Let's go ahead and take the top off. This is just an inner cover to keep the bees down in the bottom open area where the juice jar is. We've got bees. That's how many bees on there, and they've been drawing comb. I did not give this hive an empty comb due to the fact that I really didn't have the space to do that. Here we got the quart jar. It was full. It is empty today after 6 days being in here. Here we've got a box full of bees. And we're not even down to where the graft is yet. That is another inner cover that I made up special for making a queenless hive and being able to put juice on. I am going to take these bees here and just leave them in this box to keep them out of the way. Now, here we're at the inner cover. I drilled a hole here years ago to be able to put a juice jar without having the graft being affected by it. Let's say the jar might leak on it. I have another hole here. Now let's go ahead and get into this hive. In the center here is my grafting frame. All right, I'm going to bring this frame up out of here. I'm going to move you back so you can view the frame and me. So hold on and I'll get you back in place. All right, I got you set back so you can see everything. I am going to go ahead, smoke the bees down a little bit. I've got my bee brush. You want to use this, kind of brush down on the cells to get the bees off of them. Don't brush across, you might break them. They're still fragile. I also have a towel, a hand towel, to cover up this frame to keep it warm and also to keep the bees off of it. After we get it out of the hive and get the bees off of it, then we'll all go down to my basement where my incubator is. It's up and running, ready to go. So let's go ahead and pull the frame out. It is a 6-inch grafting frame. I'm going to go ahead and brush off the bees gently. And there we have it. I've got, actually there's one here that's a miss. So I've got 29 out of 30 cells that have made it through. What a great start when it comes to grafting for the year. So let's go ahead and wrap up this cell bar, keep it warm, keep the bees off of it. And with the towel, we'll take it down to the incubator and put these cells into hair roller cages and incubate them for the next 7 days until they hatch out. All right, we're here at the my basement, here next to my incubator. Here is the frame. It's covered up with the towel that I use to keep the bees off and keep it warm. I counted here, we do have 2 misses, so there's 28 cells. It's still about a 90-some% success rate. What I'm going to do is I bought these little test tube protectors off of Amazon. They are measures 30 millimeters, and that will allow one of these hair roller cages. There's the little loop that holds the bottom cap on. You just have to make sure that you put that towards the corner and they fit right in. Plenty of air to get around that hair roller cage and the cell. Inside my incubator, I have a fan. I have a little tray of water in there, about 16 ounces of water, about the size of a Coke bottle of water in there. I have a heat lamp in there, which you'll see all that here in a few minutes. that keeps it at 93 degrees. And I use an Inkbird heat controller with a temperature probe in there, cycles the light on and off to keep that constant temperature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cells off of this cell bar. I'm going to put one in each one of these cups. My plan is to incubate the queens out of their cocoons while they're still in the incubator. I am going to mark them with a blue pen, which is the color for this year. Then I will put them in a 2-frame mating boxes that I've built many years ago. So right now I'm going to go ahead and pull these cell bars off. This is JZ Beezy plastic cell bars. I like them better because they are easier to get the queen cells off of, and they don't get glued on there like they do. They just pop right out. And then what I will do is take this and just place it right in the top of it, kind of press down, and there's the wax on the edges of the cup will hold that in place. And then I'll take this empty one and show you. I'll just place it down in the holder, and I'm going to put 15 cells per, well, approximately, or actually 14 cells per holder here, and put them in the incubator. So let's go ahead and get that done. Put that in there. They come off so nice and easy. The main thing why I use an incubator is that you will find, like this one right here, you will see a little bit of wax started there. If you leave this bar within 2 days of these queens to hatch, they will fill the void between the cell, queen cells, and you have to take a razor blade to try to get it cut. And I've tried that. And to be honest with you, you'll break the cell. I don't, that's why I went ahead and made up my cell, or my queen rearing, or incubator. Had to get it right there sometime. And there's one of the cells that's no good. So we have the other bar here. I'll start them in the other cup, or hair roller cage tray, I guess you would call it. Here's the other misfire. And there we have it. Got our cells in the trays here in the hair roller cages. Now we're going to go ahead and put them in the incubator, which is homemade. And let me turn the camera around and show you what that's all about. All right, here is my incubator. It is just a regular old refrigerator where the top box used to be the freezer. The bottom area where all the shelves were is now my hot box. I've taken all the shelves off or out, and I can put 3 buckets of honey in there. And when it has a heat lamp, a fan, and a Inkbird controller for that. So here we're going to open up the It's heating right now. I've got the heat lamp in there. Down in the corner here is about a 4-inch fan. And over in the other corner is a piece of plastic tray. It was a recycled thing from, I think lunch meat was actually in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my tray of cells and put them in there. And just kind of let them sit in there. I'm going to go ahead and bring you on up a little closer, let you see what I'm talking about. There's the tray of cells. There's a fan in the back, and of course the light. And then there's the little water tray over in the corner there that has water in it. And I'll check that about every 2 to 3 days, because it will take that water right out of that tray and put it into the air quite efficiently. So let's go ahead and close this back up. So let me go over here and I'll take you to the side of the refrigerator or incubator, and I'll show you the controller. All right, here's the Inkbird controller. All I've done was Velcro it to the side of the box. It's got a temperature probe coming out of the bottom with the smallest wire. The center wire is where it has a connection where you plug in your electric device, which would be the heat lamp. And then the other cord is where you actually plug it into the wall. Now here it's kind of hard to see because it's moving, but I do have it set at 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now it's reading about 86 degrees, so it's building the heat back up. There's that little red light off to the left. Underneath that little light it'll say heating, and that you can just look at that, and that will tell you that the heat lamp is on the inside of the box without opening the door up and releasing your heat. Well, everyone, we've got the cells out of the cell builder and we brought them to the incubator. They were in the cell builder when I grafted for 6 days, and at that point in time the cells will be capped. Now we've put them in the incubator here on day 6. Now the way I count my days, I try to make it as easy as possible to remember. So now the count starts all over again. So starting tomorrow, that'll be day 1. These cells will hatch approximately in 7 days, which will be next Thursday of next week. I will probably do another graft this coming Saturday, and they will be capped next Thursday in the cell builder, and then by that time I can be putting these queens in. I'll be marking them and then into the 2-frame mating boxes that I have prepared for them. In the next 4 to 5 days I'll prepare them, and I'll show you that on video too. So until next time, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell, share my videos with your friends, and have fun with your bees.